Good evening. I'd like to call the City Council Redevelopment Agency meeting to order today, December 7th. Item December 7th, 2010 at 6:40 p.m. I'd like to defer to our city attorney to let us know what we did in closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The council met in closed session at 5:30. They began the discussion under item A. It will be continued until after the regular meeting. Item B is also continued until after the regular meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. This time I'd like Mr. Councilman Bill Hodge to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand. Ready to begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda? You've moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. For discussion, I'd like to pull item number 18. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
And Mr. Mayor, item number 21 is supposed to be a city council public hearing, and so it would go under number 5.
So item 21 will now become 5A.
Thank you.
Mr. Romero, is that change? Is that okay?
Yes, I'll motion for the amendment as well.
Okay. And second?
Second.
All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Announcements, public comments. Public comments are welcome. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes. Please complete a speaker form prior to the start of the meeting. If the item that you wish to comment on is a closed session item, please comment now. If the item you wish to comment on is a public portion of the agenda, we will take your comment when we get to the item on the agenda. I have one, now I have two. I have one for the public portion of the item, Oscar Luis Gonzalez.
Calexico City Council, ladies and gentlemen, my name's Mr. Oscar Luis Gonzalez, native Bulldog. Tonight, I'm limited to conclude my presentation last week. And I basically would like to say that in terms of the budget, in terms of, the economy, in terms of what's happening to our budget, it seems that the riddle of what I said about the administration last week is indicative because we don't have any fiscal accountability. And I know that we have had 5 or 6 audits, but being in county government 10 years as a senior analyst for the county of Imperial at age 22, 40 years ago, those budgets can be manipulated, ladies and gentlemen. Make no mistake of that. In particular, when we look and we find that some department heads have submitted checks late, without records and explanation, the status of our city finances are definitely out of control. I don't think we need an independent audit. As policymakers, you know exactly what's going on. And if we continue like that, I think come June we're going to be laying off not only staff but department heads. And it's ludicrous and irresponsible for your council to continue to set policy without knowing the balance of our city budget. No wonder that we continue to spend without a solid physical foundation. And I wish I could be proven wrong, and I'd like to challenge anybody in the audience that would prove me wrong. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. At this point, we've come to the general comments by the city council members and the RDA. I'll start to my immediate left with Councilwoman Hurtado, if you have any general comments for the public.
No comments at this point.
Thank you. Mr. Hodge?
Couple.
One is pertaining to Rock the Border. I want to commend everybody involved with that effort. Again, for the second year, it was done very well. I attended it for at least an hour, and I think it's a great idea. It really is. So I hope we continue with it. But at the same time, I don't believe I'm mistaken here. I think credit needs to be given where credit is due. And I'm referring to the inception of this idea and who was the founder of Rock the Border. And I guess just maybe an honest mistake was made. But as far as I understand, the true founder of Rock the Border is a young man, a young entrepreneur, Javier Magallanes. So I thank him, and then I also thank everybody else that put that together this year. And I'm looking forward, Mr. Rodriguez, if we can see that we can get a financial statement pertaining to the event. But again, understand what I'm saying. I support Rock the Border. I think it's informative, it's culturally oriented, it helps get the message across about what's going on. But I would like maybe next year to see more local Calexico bands be involved. Give them that opportunity. The other one, I have been told by several people that the commissions have, not all of them, but enough to get me concerned, that they're not meeting on a timely basis or a monthly basis, either because there's no quorum, or the people that are responsible to scheduling the meeting are not doing so. I'm very concerned about this, as I'm sure my other fellow councilmen are, because as we understand, commissions are a vital component to effective and good governance. So we can't really have this happening. They are very, very important. And so what is it that we can do, Mr. City Manager, to make sure that these commissions are happening and they're taken seriously?
Well, first of all, we can inform them of their meeting dates and the commitment to that commission. Secondly, they were appointed individually by each council member, and either a follow-up by the respective city council to ask your appointee if they still want, if they have the time to serve, if they're still interested in serving, and if not, seek a replacement.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
That's it, sir.
Mr. Castro.
No comments.
Mr. Romero.
Yes. When City Manager Carrillo started with as a city manager, there was a statement that he read, or that he spoke about, that this is a meeting for business. Do you recall what that phrase is? You don't have it with you? Or is it memory?
It was memory, but basically, in other words, all these meetings are business meetings. And that they weren't pep rallies, or in the sense that that you were here to cheer or shout or downplay your support or opposition, etc. It was to maintain the integrity and decorum of the chambers and the business to be discussed at hand. And so in essence, just separate the emotion from the issue, focus on the facts, and state it, and then move on.
Well, thank you, City Manager. In some sense, some of these council sessions are going more into the feelings and the facts are not being provided. Now, if there's concerns, this council has to accept one or the other. There's been made presentations of complimenting department heads, administration, staffing for some of the work that they have performed. And there has been times when the staffing, the department heads, the city manager, and this council has been criticized. Now, one comes with the other. Either we try to maintain a business-only attitude here during the council meetings, or we accept the compliments. You accept the compliments, we have to accept the criticisms. Now, I believe that the purpose of this council sessions are to conduct business and handle business. And let's go forward with that business at hand. If there is a tendency from the public to criticize or to compliment, you have the media here. Talk to the media. Put it on the newspaper, put it on the radio, or whatever. If it's a compliment or it's critical. But let's keep the business focus here in this council session. That's what I'm asking for. And I had some other comments, but I forgot my list. So that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Romero. I'd like to thank the city staff on the outstanding tree lighting ceremony we had last week. Outstanding job, everybody getting together for that. Also, a lot of city staff was present and helped out at the farm worker breakfast, which was last Friday morning. We had a great turnout. I believe we had pretty close to 4,000 farm workers that came out and had their breakfast. Mr. Romero and Ms. Hurtado were also present, along with our city manager. Our chief of police was also there, among some of his staff, so a big congratulations to them. And the Rock the Border, I believe it's a great event with the help of the city. Robert Herrera did an outstanding job taking the reins this year and really moving it forward. I was at it last year, but this year I saw a lot more organization, a lot more highly talented individuals, and a lot more people. It was really cold, but a lot of the people weathered the elements, and so congratulations to them as an awareness for our border wait times that we suffer on a daily basis. And hopefully that'll bring attention to the Department of Homeland Security so that they can understand our needs at this particular border crossing. So a big thank you to them. Now we'll go to the consent agenda, which is for the general fund departments. Is there a motion to approve items 1 to 4?
Mayor, I would like to pull number 4, and I would motion for 1, 2, and 3.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor for 1, 2, and 3, and pull 4.
Yes.
All those in favor respond by saying aye.
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 Yes.
Number 18, did you pull?
No, we're on the consent.
Oh, no, 18, yeah, he pulled it at the beginning of the meeting.
Go to the beginning, that's 5A.
Okay.
So items 1, 2, and 3, with the exception of 4, all those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Item number 4, award bid proposal from Select Electric Incorporated in the amount of $240,985. Base bid for the intersection improvements to Van de Graaff Avenue and Cole Boulevard, raised median and traffic signal project.
As further backup, this is funded by the Highway Safety Improvement Program and Measure D monies for a total amount of $240,985. On September 25th of 2010, the Engineering Division and General Services Department requested bids for the rehabilitation project. The project consists, as the mayor pointed out, installation of a traffic signal at Cole Boulevard and Van de Graaff, construction of a raised median on Cole Boulevard from State Highway 111 to Van de Graaff. The project is funded by a grant awarded by the Highway Safety Improvement Program. This grant will cover 90% of the project costs. Measure D funds will be utilized to cover the remaining 10% of the project costs. On November 10th of 2010, the city clerk's office received 5 bids that ranged from a low of $240,985 to a high of $359,359. Because we're required to go with a low bid, Select Electric, which has done work in the city of Calexico as well as in the Imperial Valley in putting up signal lights, won the bid. The project schedule is to be completed within 180 days, calendar days, from the date of the contract award. And all the bids were compared on the basis of the engineer's estimate. of the quantities of work to be done, and they were all licensed state contractors. I know there was a concern raised last week or 2 weeks ago regarding cost overruns, and I think they budgeted at least 10% to guard against that, which is typical practice.
So what, by budgeting 10%, additional 10%, then there's a unlikelihood that there's going to be a change in it.
Not necessarily, but to guard against that, there's a cap.
All right. One of the things that, that this council passed some time ago is that anybody that did any business with the city of Calexico would have a business license. Is there one in file with Select Electric, Inc.? That's a question. Is there a business license in file with Select Electric, Inc.?
I can't tell you that this evening because I wasn't aware that that question would be asked, but I can certainly research it and email you tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
If you want to approve conditional that they have a business license, you can make that motion. And if they
that
don't,
if they don't,
if
that
they don't,
get it before it gets-
then we bring it back and take the next bid.
Or just conditionally that, nothing be taken, nothing be
That it not be
paid
awarded until
until
they have a business
awarded, right.
license.
It also mentions that the grant is available to cover 90% of the cost with the remaining 10% to be covered by Measure D monies.
Right, and that's the purpose, one of the purposes of Measure D, which is your
Right.
gasoline tax, to serve as a matching fund source, and their overall balance was 4 million. We get anywhere from 1.6 to 1.8 million, if not $2 million annually, to supplement that fund.
Okay, if I recall correctly, the city already has the Measure D monies
Yes,
already available, but here we go again with a grant. That means 90% of the funds are going to have to be advanced to the city of Calexico?
no, the grant, we're providing 10%.
What about the other 90%?
That's being paid by the Highway Safety Improvement Program.
It's a grant.
Right.
Are we going to have to advance those monies until the city of Calexico receives that 90% back?
Not to my knowledge,
We will not have to advance those monies.
not to my knowledge.
Okay. If it's different, I'd like to know. And also, since this is a grant, where do we stand on the filing for the reimbursement of this grant? We have to file for paperwork to
All the
receive the funds.
paperwork has been submitted, all the design work has already,
Okay, but is it with the agency that the paperwork has been submitted, so we're waiting for the 90% to come in? Or does the city of Calexico still have to submit that application?
the 90% comes in portions to cover each phase of the development of
But
the
has the
project.
paperwork already been submitted?
I would assume so.
Can you please confirm that? Now, one of the things that I had mentioned back, I believe it was a meeting in September, since if it's a situation where the city has to advance monies, and you're saying that it may not be, it was talked about where we can give these benefiting companies 50% of the monies now and 50% when we get the monies, when the grant is reimbursed to the city. I don't know if it can be done, it was talked about before, but it's out there again. All right, you don't expect a change order, it could happen, but there's a buffer included in this. Is there a history working with this company? With Select Electric Inc.? Is there a history?
Yes, sir. They have done some work, as Nick mentions in his letter.
And in the history, do they usually complete their projects in time? Are there change orders involved?
Unless there's any hidden items in the streets, below the streets. If not, they complete the projects on time with no change orders.
Okay, but do they have a history of doing change orders?
They have, not to my knowledge.
Okay. All right, that's it.
And if you look at the project schedule timeline, they're scheduled to complete it within 180 calendar days, so within 6 months.
Okay. Anyway, I
Making
will,
those road improvements, the median, and putting signal lights.
Right.
at that intersection.
Anyway, there's one thing that's contingent of a motion for approval in that regard.
Just the business license
Yes.
issue is the contingency.
Okay, is there a second on that one?
Second.
Second by Mr. Castro. Any discussion?
Well, what we just discussed, excellent points being made, Councilman Romero.
Thank you.
Isn't it prudent upon our part to be sure before we get to this point that they have a business license and that we absolutely understand the conditions of the grant and the process or timeline of reimbursement, or Mr. City Councilman, City Manager?
Everything that comes before you has undergone its due diligence. And so, as part of the criteria for submitting the bids, that they would have to have a business license as part of the criteria, and adhering to the engineer's estimates of the projected costs from the leveling, the grading, the signal lights, and what have you. And so all of that should have been submitted with a bid. The committee that reviewed the bid should have had those guidelines, and as they push this forward, but we'll ascertain all of this tomorrow for you and provide you with a following correspondence to indicate whether they are or they're not.
Would that be in the invitation for bids?
It should have been in the invitation for bids.
Because I recall a while back that we did require a business license for any type of construction.
Well,
We'll
anybody
get that
doing
information
business
for
with the
you.
city of Calexico.
We'll provide that for you in a timely manner tomorrow morning.
Can
Okay.
you make sure that in these kind of situations, they either, that they comment, that the department head comments that a business license is in file, a current business license is in file with the finance department on all future requests like this?
Okay.
Thank you.
There's a motion on the floor, and there's also a second. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Item 5. An ordinance of the City of Calexico, of the City Council of the City of Calexico approving a development agreement between the City of Calexico and Hallwood Calexico Investment LLC for real property within the City of Calexico. Is to hold a public hearing, receive input, introduce ordinance by title only, and waive full reading of the ordinance. And I believe this is the 111 place, Mr. Carrillo?
Yes, it is. This is where you're going to consider adopting an ordinance approving a development agreement between the City of Calexico and Hallwood. As you pointed out, the staff recommendation is to hold a hearing, receive input from the public, then adopt the ordinance by the title only, and then waive the full reading of the ordinance. This is a development agreement for real property within the City of Calexico. On May 5th of 2009, the city certified a final environmental impact report in connection with the Calexico 111 Place project. It was proposed that the city enter into a development agreement with Hallwood Investments, the property owner, that's related to the project. The uses that were contemplated in this proposed agreement are consistent with the uses authorized in the final environmental impact report, and will not have any environmental effects which are peculiar to this agreement or subject property, or were not fully analyzed in the FEIR. And pursuant to Public Resources Code Section 21083.3 and CEQA guidelines, Section 15183, there is no further review under CEQA guidelines and the applicable ordinances and regulations of the city that are required for this agreement. On November 22nd, the Planning Commission held a public hearing and approved the attached resolution, which made the required findings. And this is a project area that encompasses 232 acres within the city limits on Jasper and Scaroni Road.
Thank you, Mr. Carrillo. This was also approved by Planning Commission a while back.
Correct.
Right.
And this is the last step.
This is the last step. First of all, is there any questions from the balance of the council? Seeing that there is, yes.
I have a question with regard to this project. Are developer fees being collected at this time for this project in advance? Developer
Development
deposits?
fees will be collected as the project developments or the applications are made.
Okay, it's just not the right time yet.
Right.
So at this time, I'd like to open it for public hearing. Anyone in favor of this item? Please step forward, state your name and address for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I'm Kerry Lowe, representing the applicant on this project, this agreement, Hollywood Calexico Investments. I'm going to be brief because I know you're all familiar with the project. You approved all of the entitlements for the project many months ago, and as you're probably aware, working with your staff and attorneys, we recently resolved the CEQA lawsuit that had been filed over the EIR for the project. So all of that's behind us. And we're before you this evening requesting that you approve this development agreement, which has as its main purpose simply to extend the term of the project approvals. This is a large and complex project, and it's fairly common, in my experience, to enter into development agreements for projects of this kind simply to ensure that the entitlements won't expire before the project has the opportunity to be fully carried out. The question was asked about payment of fees, and that's correct, that they would be handled in the ordinary course of business, just as in the absence of this agreement. As applications are made for each successive phase of the project, the fees would be paid. And the project would have 15 years under this agreement to be completed in accordance with the entitlements that you've previously approved. So I'll leave it at that. Unless any of you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer.
No, not at this time. Does anyone have any questions? No, not at this time, sir.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lowe. Anyone else in favor of this project? Please step forward, state your name and address for the record. Seeing that there is none, we'll now go to those that are not in favor of this project, and I believe I have one in opposition, and that is Mr. Oscar Gonzalez.
You know, essentially, it's obvious that we've had problems in the past collecting developers' fees or whatever. And when the gentleman stated that according to ordinary course of business, that's too vague. I think we need a time and timetable to prevent from adding to the deficit, a tremendous deficit that we have in our budget, that we're unable to collect fees in the past. And I'm surprised that you policymakers up there pretend that there's nothing happening. I'm not opposing the program by the nature. I'm basically opposing those issues. Number one, the fact that we've had a tremendous problem collecting impact fees in the past. We've been unsuccessful. And number two, I want to make it very clear, we need a date and timetable. That thing about ordinary course of business is too vague. It lends itself to continuing to impact adversely the budget. So I would advise the policymakers to wake up and take action. And the other action that you guys took that on the issue before I could speak, but you know, if we don't know if he has a business license or not, we should know. This thing of leaving it up to committees and maybe perhaps quizás se me hace que sí, se me hace que no. Lo más seguro es que I don't know. I don't think we need to go on that. I think we need to know for sure when a developer who's responsible and wants to invest and wants to utilize our budget money, do we have money in case a developer? I was involved in government for 10 years and I've been an activist for 38 years, and I always hear developers. I was in the Planning Commission 15 years. I was appointed by Alex Campillo, and one of the things that always happened invariably, we had additional costs And I'd like to ask the city manager, do we have additional costs to ensure factually that that's not going to happen on this project or any projects therefore? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Anyone else in opposition to this proposal? Seeing that there is none, I'll close the public hearing at approximately 7:13 and bring it back to the balance of the council. Any particular comments, motions, etc.?
I don't have any comments, and since it doesn't appear to come forward, I'll motion for its approval.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Hodge. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Motion carries. 5-0.
Mr. Mayor, I need to read the title of the ordinance. It's an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Calexico approving a development agreement between the City of Calexico and Hallwood Calexico Investments, LLC, for real property within the City of Calexico. And this will come back for second reading / adoption at your next council meeting, but it won't be a public hearing at that time.
Thank you very much, and it's a good thing that we're moving a little closer for this particular development that is much needed.
You think they all know that it's the casino?
Maybe we should tell them that this is the casino, so that you know that this project is moving forward. Public mandated in 2004 to approve it, and it's taken a while for it to come into fruition, so congratulations, Mr. Lowe, and congratulations to the citizens of Calexico.
What are the next steps?
Sure.
I just want to make sure, and this is really to the city attorney, is there any other action needs to be taken with regard to the agenda of the EIR?
No, I believe a notice of determination will be filed in probably in 2 weeks.
Council needs to do with regard to that.
Not to the EIR, no. Or the addendum, no.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you all for your support.
Thank you.
Item number 6. I'm sorry, 5A. Thank you, Mr. Romero.
Which used to be
Which used to be 21.
21.
And this is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Calexico assessing the levy of the Downtown Parking and Business Improvement District for calendar year 2011. Recommendation is hold a public hearing to determine whether there exists a majority protest to levying the calendar year 2011 assessment for the Calexico Downtown Business Improvement District, and if no majority protest is determined, adopt a resolution to levy an assessment for the bid for calendar 2011. And we'll have some backup, or do we want to start with Mr. Lopez immediately?
Well, basically, as far as backup is concerned, at your November 16th meeting, the council approved a resolution of intent to levy the bid assessment for the calendar year 2011 and set a public hearing to consider the levy for December 7th. The Business Improvement District runs from 1st Street to 4th Street between Mary Avenue and Emerson, all up and down the Imperial Avenue corridor. There are about 400 businesses that would generate $40,000 if this levy goes through at $100 each, and that $40,000 will supplement the $40,000 that's provided by the redevelopment agency for an $80,000 annual working budget.
That's correct.
Mr. Lopez.
Yes, Honorable Mayor, City Council, my name is Edward Lopez. I'm the chairman of the Business Improvement District. What I wanted to do today is give you a brief annual report of what we've done. It's actually not an annual report, it's like a 2-year report. Since last year we didn't actually present it. What I want to do is I'm going to go through it as quickly as possible, because I do know that everybody wants to get home. But I just want to give you guys a brief description of what the bid does, what we're about, and what our plans are for the future. So if we can get started. Okay, the Business Improvement District was established in February of 2009. The CBID is a committee of local business people appointed by the City Council. Members work with local business people and the City of Calexico to improve, promote business in Calexico. Our meetings are held the second and the fourth Wednesday here at the Nene Torres Council Chambers at 8 a.m. and everybody is invited. The chairman is myself, Eduardo Lopez. Morris Ryzen is our vice chair. Christina Rocha, owner of Christina Lingerie, and Mark Holloway, owner of Sam Ellis, and we're missing one appointee from Mr. Castro, and that hopefully I understand we're going to have an appointment today. Okay, our staff is we work closely with the city manager's office, the redevelopment agency, general services, police department, And I can go on and on. Every department in the city helps us to achieve our goals. They're really easy to work with. They're anything that we need, they're more than willing to lend a helping hand. And I just want to thank the city staff for doing that. Our duties of the bid are to promote and organize events, start new traditions, improve business community image, and attract new business. Those are our main focuses. This is a map showing our zones. We have a zone 1 and zone 2. Originally, there was 2 zones and 2 different fees. We decided to make it all one fee last year, where we requested at $100 per business license. Initially, it was like $500 per business license, and working the way down, we felt that was a little excessive, so we suggested $100, and that's what we went with last year. Okay, these are some of the events that we've held since 2008. November, we had pre-holiday sales. January, a health fair. In February, we had the Serie del Caribe when the baseballs came down. The World Championship in Mexico. April and May, we had weekly events from 11 to 3 where we had mariachis every Sunday downtown promoting business. And we would stand there, and it was 4 weeks in a row, and the 4th week was Mother's Day. We had a big Mother's Day raffle in conjunction with Clear Talk's grand opening. And it was a very, very successful event, and we had a great time. We had a lot of participation. In June, we had a Route 99 car show. It started as a Route 66 car show, but I was quickly corrected by Mr. Moreno that 66 is not this way. So those are just some of the pictures of the event that we had, and some more pictures of the event. In July and August, we requested free 2-hour parking to encourage people to shop downtown in the historically slow summer months, and we also had back-to-school sales to promote those events. In October, we had our first Halloween thriller night. These are just some pictures of the event. We had a great time, and we had a good participation. City staff and everybody was there. As you can see the pictures, everybody was having a really good time. In November, we decided we needed some cleaning up of downtown. We had all the sidewalks steam cleaned. We decided to put restrooms in the alley. We felt that there was a need because people were doing their business in the alleys without a restroom, so we decided to put a restroom at most of the alleys. At the head of the alleys, we have a restroom, and also where the cabs are, we have a restroom for the public. And these restrooms are for the public and the field workers that come in and to try to keep a little bit, downtown a little cleaner. In December of 2009, during the Christmas parade, participated in the Christmas parade, we had a raffle. We gave over 100 prizes. Most of the prizes were donated by the merchants downtown. We had an excellent event. We had a lot of participation. We had a lot of fun, and at the end we ended up doing a television set, about 10, 15 bicycles, and it was a very good time and very cost-effective advertising for our business improvement. In February of 2010, we had a strategic planning meeting held with the merchants. We invited all the merchants down here, and they came up and gave us different ideas on what would be the best direction for the bid to take. And with those directions, this is what we decided to do. We decided to start advertising. Shopping Calexico started. We awarded a website contract, and we put a plan together to start filling up the vacant buildings. That kind of got put in the back burner, but we're still working on it. In March, we set the car show for April 25th, continue with the shop in Calexico advertising, and set a subcommittee to handle the website. And April and May of 2010, April 4th, as we all know, that was our big major earthquake. Because of the major earthquake, we decided to cancel the car show, and we decided to work closely with city staff to reopen the CBID area as soon as possible. The CBID kept the merchants informed of the CBID area status. We just worked closely between the city and the merchants, trying to get things as smoothly as possible, and you guys can testify, I think we did a great job working together to get downtown open as soon as possible. And we also decided to keep the portable restrooms there permanently because we saw they're really being used. They're actually being cleaned 5 times a week because of the fact that that's how much they're being used. And we have, I believe, 11 portable restrooms in the downtown area. In June and July, where we started Shopping Calexico campaign, we felt that we were ready to start trying to attract people. And we continued working with city staff to open the streets and businesses in the CBID area. August and September of 2010, we decided to start with back-to-school sales event advertising. We had a reorganization of the bid. There was a change in the city council, so there was a change in the bid of appointees. So we had a reorganization, and we set the time and the date for the Halloween Carnival. A lot of you joined us in the 2010 Halloween Carnival. Here are just a few pictures We had an excellent turnout. I believe we had about more than double the amount of people we had at the first Halloween Carnival, and it was a great time. I thank our mayor for allowing us to dunk them 1,000 times, and everybody else who participated. Marisa was up there on the stage giving away our prizes, and we gave away prizes, we gave away trophies to the best costume, and generally we just had a really good time. In November and December, we advertised for Black Friday event. We had a real successful Black Friday. Downtown was really full. On Friday morning, I was pleasantly surprised. I went to Sam Ollie's, I went to Fallas Paredes, I went to JCPenney's. Everybody was having a really good Black Friday event, so it really worked out. Rock the Border, we sponsored Rock the Border. We felt it was a really good event, and so we decided to sponsor Rock the Border. We also worked with the city in rerouting the Christmas parade because we felt we needed to do more events in Imperial, so this year we're going to have the parade going down Imperial Avenue and then up 2nd Street. There's a new route, and we were instrumental in getting that done. After the Christmas parade, we're going to have a raffle. We expect over 100 prizes, and most of the prizes are being donated by the local merchants, and so we'll have a big raffle right after the parade. And after that, we're going to have a holiday sales event and advertising, and we'll continue promoting the whole business district. Pending projects, events, what we want to do in the future. We tentatively have a car show once again for February the 12th, followed by Easter sales advertising, Mother's Day sales and raffle, Father's Day sales and raffle. Get ready for summer sales, back to school sales event. Once again, we want to do our 3rd annual Halloween Carnival, Black Friday sales event, Christmas parade and raffle, and we also want to work on street lighting and graffiti abatement. We've been having a lot of trouble with graffiti abatement, so we want to keep an eye on it and working on that, and also improve the street lighting in the downtown area. Following, this is the revenue. Currently, we have about $40,000 that we're going to be carrying over from the 2010, plus hopefully you guys will approve the $100 bid fee, which will bring us to $80,000 for our physical 2011 year. This is what we plan to do with the event, along with the list of things that we gave you. 6 major events. Each major event costs us about $5,000, mainly in advertising, insurance. As you know, $5,000 doesn't go a long way, but we do the best that we can through donations and the support of the merchants and city staff. We also want to continue with the portable restrooms. They're about $1,000 a month, so that'll take $12,000 of our budget. We are proposing a monthly newsletter to keep the city council and the bid members informed of what we're doing, and we estimate that'll cost us about $100 a month. Monthly advertising for major events for non-major event month, about $3,000 just to have continual advertising, pushing of the bid area. That'd be an $18,000. C-bid area improvements, street lighting, maintenance, painting, stuff like that. Anything that needs to be done, we're budgeting $1,000 a month for anything that we need to take care of. We're budgeting $12,000 for the year. Sidewalk cleanup, to get all the sidewalk clean and steam clean, it costs us $5,000, so we're including that. Another expense, I'm allowing $1,800 for insurance, any miscellaneous postage or anything like that. Total expense, $80,000. And just Calexico bid is something for everyone. And at this point, I'd just like to ask you to consider the $100 fee. I think it's a reasonable fee. It's an opportunity to allow us to continue working with the city staff and continue to improve business in Calexico. Any questions or comments?
Well, Mr. Lopez, I applaud you for that great presentation, all the work that the bid has been doing over the last several years. It's evident that there have been many activities that have been had down in downtown Calexico, and of course our city staff with Julia and Oscar that have also been that big support. I think this is a great concept, and you guys are doing an outstanding job. That's my comment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Anybody else?
I'd just also like to commend you on the hard work. I know personally how hard we worked during the earthquake. One important thing that, excuse me, that you hadn't mentioned was after the earthquake, how hard we worked with the company who cleans downtown, the Advanced company, that we were after them continuously to make sure that the fencing and the different areas that were temporarily placed because of the buildings coming down, we were always making sure that those were free of trash. And so that was one very important part of what BID was doing, was making sure that we were staying as clean as we could considering the current circumstances after the earthquake. So great job.
Thank you, and I'd just like to add that Mrs. Hurtado was our chairman during and after the earthquake. Not that she brought the earthquake, but she showed really great leadership
It's
for
shaking,
us.
yeah.
And like she said, you know, she worked really hard, and it's a lot of work, a lot of time to make sure that everything is done. There's a lot of work that people don't see that needs to get done.
Thank you.
Mr. Lopez, I want to thank you and everyone involved for BID for your outstanding work. I cannot imagine not doing all of these wonderful things that you're working on. But in order to improve, in order for BID and others that are concerned, that have a stake in this, to get an accurate assessment for our own self-learning and direction, do you have any measurable evidence as to, you know, and it seems quite evident, but I still ask the question, sales and advertising and marketing, I mean, are we getting our for what we're investing and what you're putting in, are we getting a good return for that? Is it working?
I feel it is working. It's very difficult to gauge because we had a really difficult year. The economy being the way it was, the earthquake, you know, set us back considerably. But when we do the events, when we have our meetings, when we do the advertising, we talk to the community, we talk to the merchants, and we feel that we do get a good response, and our merchants feel that they are getting something for it. Just matter of fact, just the other day, a young lady from, forgot her name, from JCPenney's, wrote us an email thanking us for doing such a great job because she noticed that, you know, at the Halloween carnival that she had a lot more business than she normally has on Halloween. So, you know, comments like that are what make it all worth it.
So the merchants, some merchants are coming forward and saying business has gone up during these particular times
and
or
like
events.
I say, we're getting participation by the merchants. Most of the gifts that we're giving away are being donated by the merchants. So obviously they're donating the gifts because they feel that there is a value to it.
You know, part of the effort is trying to redevelop the downtown area. And not only because we rely on the Mexicali consumer, the pedestrian crosser that crosses the border. The fact that Homeland Security has entailed new enforcement measures over the last 5 years that have created long border waits, not only in the vehicle occupied lanes, but in pedestrian to 90-minute waits. We have to reattract Calexico consumers to come visit downtown, as well as attracting visitors from outside of Calexico, from north of Calexico to come and shop downtown. So these events serve as that magnet to bring people in. And then coupled with what the merchants are promoting as far as sales and the quality of the merchandise and the aesthetics, et cetera, it's been a collective effort. And so hopefully with these events and now with a new route this year with the parade starting on North Imperial Avenue by the Armory and coming south on Imperial to 5th Street and then up Rockwood to 2nd Street and going in a reverse order on 2nd, coming down Heber and culminating here at Rockwood Plaza, we'll see how that not only benefits the downtown area, but also those merchants and businesses on Imperial Avenue.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions?
Yes, Mr. Lopez, yes, I want to congratulate you and the other members of the Business Improvement District. You and the other members are doing a great job, and I hope you guys continue with this hard work, and thank you. Thanks again for that improvement that you're doing in the downtown area.
Thank you, Mr. Castro.
Thank
we
you.
appreciate your support.
Mr. Lopez,
Go ahead.
And I thought I was going to get away with that.
yes. There's no doubt that what BID is doing is great for downtown. And actually, I didn't have anything to share until it came up on the screen. This request is to approve the $100 for both Zone 1 and Zone 2.
That is correct.
Zone 2 is Imperial Avenue.
Imperial, Emerson.
Right, I understand that. Do you have anybody representing Imperial Avenue in BID?
We did have somebody representing Imperial Avenue, and she attended a couple of meetings, and she felt that it was a little too much work, because it is a lot of work. And Mr. Castro will be appointing somebody else. I don't know if it's Imperial Avenue, but currently the 4 bid members are not from Imperial Avenue. I personally do have a business on Imperial Avenue, but it's more rental and some spots that I do have tenants there that I work with.
Now, there appears to be obvious support of everything that you're doing downtown, and with the term bid for downtown, a lot of people don't look at Imperial Avenue as being part of downtown. Are the merchants along Imperial Avenue, as you and Mr. Risen visit the business downtown, do you do something similar for Imperial Avenue? Do you have a consensus that they're in support of this $100 fee?
We do not, because we're getting involved in the business.
Well, not only that, when Mrs. Norma Reynoso, I believe, Reynoso, she came to us, and we invite anybody to come down, and if you have a business and you're in the bid, even if you're not in the bid, we invite you, come down, share with us your ideas. Let's work together. Let's get this thing, because it's a benefit. Even any business in Calexico is going to benefit Calexico, and that's really what we're working for. Even though if you're not in the bid area, if you're on Cole Road or wherever you're at, you're welcome to join us. And what we want to do is work together for a better Calexico.
Well, the issue about extending the parade into Imperial Avenue, you're pulling them in. And
Right, exactly.
and
That was one of the main
congratulate Bid
focuses
for that.
of doing that.
Thank you.
Mr. Hodge.
One more point. Again, I want to leave on a positive note, but I want to bring a negative thing up. I feel obligated to voice some of the downtown customers' concerns, and it has to do with the portable bathrooms in the alley. They say that the stench is pretty bad. Is there anything that we can do to improve upon that?
Well, it does get pretty bad sometimes, but that tells you that they're really being used quite a bit, significantly.
Okay.
And so I guess the worst part is the way it was before, where if they weren't using the restroom, they were just doing it in the alley.
That was worse, I will agree.
Okay, so what we're trying to do is, with our limited resources, we're having them clean once a day, 5 times a week. Obviously, it'll cost more money to do them 7 times a week, and put more restrooms, because there are some times that the restrooms even overfill because they're used so much, believe it or not. So, I don't envy the gentleman that has to go and clean them out. But we will continue to work on that and see if we can come up with other solutions.
Good.
Just to comment on that. Between midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning and 6 o'clock in the morning, downtown takes on another picture.
Mm-hmm.
You have 7,000 to 8,000 farm workers between October and April that cross every day that utilize those restrooms. You don't have any restaurants or facilities that they can use other than the public bathrooms at Teco Monroy Park, that used to be called Border Park on Holland and First, and the city bathrooms as well on First Street, across the street from San Malice. And so they've been placed in strategic locations in the alleys. They responded. Before, they used to only clean them twice a week. Now they're cleaning them, once a day for at least 5 times a week.
5 times a week.
And based on the funding, but that's what's generated there.
Also, for special events, for example, this Saturday during the parade, we will have them clean Saturday morning right before the parade. Well, before the parade, so that they'll be a little cleaner when we have the additional people in the downtown area. So, we do take things like that into consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I don't remember if you officially opened the public hearing, but I just want to remind you about that, and also to make sure that you call for any of those against it and see if there are any protests.
Actually, we haven't opened the public hearing because we were busy commending the bid for all the hard work they're doing. At this point, at 7:35, I'd like to open the public hearing. Anyone in favor of this resolution, please step forward, state your name and address for the record. Seeing that there is none, at this time of the public hearing, I'll ask for anyone in opposition to this resolution. Please step forward, state your name and address for the record. Seeing that there's none, we'll close the public hearing at 7:36 and bring it back to the balance of the council. Is there a motion to approve this item?
I make a motion to approve this item.
Moved by Mr. Hodge. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Castro. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Going on to item 6, which is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Calexico prescribing the depository of city funds and prescribing the method of drawing warrants and checks of the City of Calexico. It is recommended that the council request to take the following action: adopt a resolution prescribing the depository of city funds and prescribing the method drawing warrants and checks of the City of Calexico. Mr. Carrillo?
Well, the city's in the process of completing all the necessary paperwork to legally change banking relationships for the city's general account and payroll account to Rabobank that you recently approved, and attached is the standard resolution used in the past to change the signatory on the city checks. So what we're doing is we're changing from Bank of America and Wells Fargo to Rabobank.
Thank you. Is there any questions or comments at this time?
And the transition will take anywhere from 30 to 60 days to complete, including the changing of accounts for wire transfers and what have you.
Okay. Any questions?
Did you mean direct deposit of employee salaries?
The direct deposit service will be made available to the employees.
That's a plus. It's a good thing.
It's really up to them.
Any questions? Any comments? Any motions? Did you want to say something, Ms. Ashen?
No. This is a standard format of the resolution. Each time, whether it's designating the signatory for the city's bank accounts, or in this case, it's changing the actual bank, but this is a standard resolution we've used each time.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so moved.
Moved by Mr. Romero. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Castro. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Item 7. Item 7 is the qualifications of the administrative hearing officer, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Calexico, amending Chapter 1.27 of the Calexico Municipal Code related to qualifications of administrative hearing officers. And I believe we got an addendum or some clarification by our city attorney.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I just simply, the version of the ordinance that went out in the agenda packet didn't show the changes that I had made based on council's direction, so I just handed out the council the version that has underlined the new language.
So it'd be item, section 1B1, a bachelor's degree from an accredited college or university or a combination of a certificate from training courses for administrative hearing examiners and at least 3 years of relevant practical experience in the area of law enforcement, legal training, code enforcement, or any applicable field. Is that correct?
Right, so it's just the option of either the person has a bachelor's degree or they have this combination, which is a certificate to be an admin hearing officer in combination with 3 years of practical experience in one of those fields. So it gives you an option if the person doesn't have a bachelor's degree.
Okay, so once we either approve or deny this, then it goes out, it is flown, and we solicit applications.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay. Is there any questions or concerns or comments? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Romero. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by everybody else, but let's try it again. Is there a second?
Second.
A second by Councilwoman Hurtado. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
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 Opposed? None. Motion carries. Item 8.
And I just
I'm
need
sorry.
to read the title of the ordinance. It's an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Calexico, California, amending Chapter 1.27 of the Calexico Municipal Code related to qualifications of administrative hearing officers. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, City Attorney. Next item, item 8, is the award bid for televising City Council meetings. And the City Council is recommended to request to provide direction to staff regarding the award of bid for televising our City Council meetings. Mr. Carrillo.
Well, back in 2009, on May 5th, the City Council approved an agreement with Conveyor Group for consulting services, including on-site video of 24 city council meetings. It also included travel time and setup, unedited streaming, and a copy for airing on TV. All of this was for $9,600, and that's what we had budgeted from the general fund and RDA funds. Since then, Conveyor and their contract expired April 20th, 2010, with the last of their 24th videotaping of a city council session. Since then, since April, Conveyor and Spectrum have alternated months and continue to televise the meetings. Based on the direction of the city council, we advertised for requests for proposals for these services. The deadline to submit was November 2nd, 2010. The city received 2 responses to the RFP, and it also included the RFP for audio and video capture and web-based streaming services as provided to the bidders. The 2 bidders were Conveyor Group and Spectrum, and both were over the budgeted amount, and so the city council can either decide to request for rebid to reduce the scope of work, or is the city council wanting to move forward to fund this program, or 3, does the city want to look to it as a benefit to the community, and if you already had $9,600 budgeted, then go on a month-to-month basis with both of these 2 groups until the $9,600 is exhausted.
Thank you, Mr. Carrillo. We'll bring it back to the council. Any comments, suggestions?
I believe that the televising of or the recording of the meetings is necessary. I've been on the council where there has been no recordings, and after we started the recordings, and there's a huge difference in how the meetings are conducted. So in that regard, I do support this overwhelmingly.
Thank you, Mr. Romero. Any other questions? Any comments?
I concur with you, City Councilman. And, yeah.
What is the amount that we're paying at this point on a monthly basis?
We budgeted $9,600. It was $800 a month.
Is that what we're spending
for
right
2
now?
meetings? The proposals came in much higher than that, where there's a difference between $2,400 up to, I believe, $12,000 extra. So in essence, if you reject moving forward with these 2 bids, then we can go back and meet with those 2 companies and renegotiate and say, we're going to continue on a monthly basis. This is what we'll pay. Can you do the service?
What are we paying right now at this point on a monthly basis?
We're paying $800 a month, except for Conveyor. Because as of recently, they started charging an additional amount by the hour.
So they will work for $800 a month.
Well,
No,
one did,
800
not the
plus.
other.
Spectrum.
Spectrum was working for $800 a month.
However, their basic service is $12,000 a year.
Well,
That's their bid proposal.
for the new proposal for providing services for this fiscal year. You know, $9,600 is budgeted. They went over the amount. You can reject. You don't have, we don't have the funding source for the additional $2,400 to $12,000. So a recommendation to consider, or another option, is we have $9,600 budgeted. What will that buy us?
Well,
Will it buy us 8 months of coverage, or for the remaining 6 months, or the remaining 7 months of coverage?
Well, up until this point, they've been...
Televising 1 meeting a month? Or we can go back to the negotiating table with them.
We're paying $800 a month now, and they're providing the service now at $800. I would recommend that we try to work within that amount. If they're already providing the service at that amount, why couldn't we stay at that amount?
On a month-to-month basis, every other month.
That's the
They
option.
rotate.
Right. I guess I'm referring more to Spectrum. Because Spectrum seems if they can work right now at that amount, why couldn't we continue that at that same amount?
well, we'll have to take it back, reject the bids, and then give direction that you want us to go back and negotiate with Spectrum to keep it under $800.
I guess
At
the question for them would be, what would be different that we would have to pay a $12,000 amount when at this point right
Well,
now?
Spectrum is here if you'd like them to come forward
maybe.
and provide you that information.
Oh, it's the tall guy.
Thank you. Yeah, the only difference would be that, excuse me? Oh, Fernando Zavala, representing Spectrum Advertising. The only difference is it really is, we're not charging any extra for any hours over the 2.5 over the limit. So basically, it's just helping us offset our cost. So there's been occasions where the meetings run to 4 hours, and we charge the same amount. So
Not our meetings.
When did that happen?
So we wouldn't be charging any extra. We will keep it a flat rate. So basically, the only thing that we're really trying to do is help offset our costs, like I said. I mean, and obviously the public spectrum has been added with the agendas as well. So that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Any more question?
Is
he saying you're going to stay in that range? Are you saying that? It sounds like it.
Obviously, I would have to go back and negotiate that with
because we like
the
you.
company. Again, there's things that are in there, such as the public spectrum. That's been added right now for a flat rate. But obviously, if we're going to continue to work with this month to month at a $400 rate, there's a renegotiation that we need to talk about. But the meeting itself, we would record.
In other words, if your direction is to reject the two proposals, then give us the direction that we'll go back and renegotiate with both Conveyor and Spectrum and say, look, this is what we have budgeted, this is what we're able to spend, what work can you provide for that amount? And then we'll bring it back to you.
And there should be a third option. One would be if at the $800, what would be their hourly rate after $800? They say they're doing this to cover the cost.
To offset our costs, yeah.
To offset your costs. Well, if you come back with $800 and you have to charge for additional hours, then the city needs to know what that cost is.
Exactly.
Okay.
Would you like to say a few words?
Are you part of Conveyor?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Aaron Popejoy, owner of Conveyor Group. First of all, thank you for accepting our proposal and for the opportunity to have worked with you for the last couple of years on this. It did take almost a year and a half to negotiate before we began the process. So it has been a learning process for us. I commend Calexico for being the pioneering city in this effort. There is not a city in the county that televises and archives their entire meeting. You were the first and continue to be the one doing all of your meetings. So we're proud to have been part of that. I understand that there is a discrepancy between the bid amount and the budget amount. After, in hindsight, and we have the ability to look in hindsight, we looked at our costs and some of the things that we'd like to do for you, and the new bid reflects that. However, I had offered to continue as is at the existing rate. That offer stands, but there are things that I would like to do in addition to enhance the services, and I can do that. At last month's last meeting, there were some questions about traffic and the value of this. I can tell you part of our newer proposal was to give you more statistics, but we can run reports and have, and far more people participate in your meetings through this service than do here in person. So it is very valuable, and I agree with the council members that place value in that. I understand that there are two bids on the table. They're both competitive. There are some compromises involved. Obviously, one is a robotic camera that can be uncomfortable to look at, but there's more efficiency in that, and therefore they can offer a lower cost for doing that. So definitely you have two strong options to consider. But I would be willing to continue as is with the hope that at some point we can enhance some of the things like labeling the entire video, which we proposed in ours, so that when it's on television, you can tell which agenda item you're on and who's speaking at any given time. And that would be a nice optional upgrade that we proposed in ours. There is definite cost to that. As is and has been being done, we can afford to do it at that rate, but I can't afford to do anything more or different than has been done in the past.
Is that service being provided currently to any local agency?
The
IID, the county?
No, it requires a lot of post-editing. What can be done with a robotic camera is allow the operator, Antonio back there, to be doing a few things at the same time. It's very efficient. It is a different approach that compromises the robotic camera. We have to do it in post in the shop. So as much time as is spent here filming it is spent editing and preparing it, cleaning it up for use on television and archival. In that process, we could add several more hours to it and label by agenda item, actually agendize the video that's streaming online, which has been done by our competitor in this. And it is a good service, but there's a cost to that. And I think that's what Fernando is saying, that if you want some of those things, there is going to be additional cost.
I would just venture to say, or like to say that as far as the quality, the level of quality from both these companies is excellent. So it's not there's not a disparity as far
Right.
as the level of service or the level of quality. Right now, we're just looking at the difference in what we had budgeted and what the proposal initiated or offered. So
Understood.
I could close my eyes and pick either one and be very satisfied with either company. And I think the council and the public feel the same way.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll bring it back to the council, and what are the wishes?
Well, my wish is that we stay within what we've budgeted at this point in time. But at the same time, we continue with the taping, right? So whatever.
So we'll meet with both companies and see how they can fit it in within the parameters of our budget.
It is a valuable service.
And where they can, as Mr. Zavala mentioned, and I'm sure it's the same way with Conveyor Group, where they can offset the cost. Conveyor, right? Yes. Is that what it's saying?
Mm-hmm. The conveyor,
So at this point, do we give direction?
the direction's been given.
All right. Thank you. Item number 9. Request City Council approval of a new job description and revised classification schedule, adding traffic control assistant, 6 positions approved by City Council at the special meeting of December 1st, 2010. Recommendation: approve the job descriptions for traffic control assistant and revised classification schedule. Mr. Carrillo.
This was presented at the special meeting last week in reference to the traffic congestion that exists not only along Imperial Avenue, but also the traffic congestion that exists on First Street that was raised by Mayor Pro Tem Castro at the previous meeting, and then reiterated where Chief of Police Jim Nugel, who's in charge of the traffic controllers, was able to respond. And he was able to present a funding source from the impound account from the general fund of $20,000 to hire for the holiday season 6 traffic controllers to man the intersections that require a safe traffic flow. And in order to be able to hire these temporary employees, a new job description reflecting their true job duties has been created. And that's why we have both items. Item number 9 as presented by Human Resources, and then item 10, where the funding will come from as far as the police department is concerned. And the reason for this is that the persons that are hired under this job description will not be performing the same duties as a parking traffic controller. They won't be dealing with parking, they'll be dealing strictly with traffic control. And it will only consist of the holiday period.
Which means
So the classification has been developed, and the recommended range is 64. The hourly rate will be $12.32 an hour.
up until after New Year's.
Up until $20,000 is exhausted.
Right, but the time would be after New Year's, right?
Correct.
Okay.
How far after New Year's? Or up to New Year's?
January 3rd, sorry.
January 3rd.
Which is a Monday.
What day to what day? Which is the starting date? Your proposed starting date?
The budget actually proposed starting date was as of last week, but this was a detail that we needed to fix, not just for the short term, but for the long term, in order to be able to fix the classification issue. But it's going to be technically from tomorrow till the 3rd of January. Obviously, they're set for testing everything tomorrow, so they'll be on the payroll starting Thursday. But the ones we picked up are the same IBC students that have been working for us. They run out of funds this week, and so this is actually opportune for us to just go ahead and pick them up and work them through the holidays.
I have questions. One is, you're going to have volunteers. You're not going to have volunteers from IVC or anything like that? Okay. Why at $12 an hour? Why not 10? Why not 11? Why not 9?
Well, the city has specific classifications ranges where through the current labor study that we have particular ranges assigned to particular jobs. What we did is because it's a physically demanding job, we use the same range as what a laborer would be for the city, and use the range 64, which is consistent with that same type of job classification.
If it was to pay for a parking traffic controller, it would be at a rate of $15.31 an hour in lieu of the $12.
I know, but it
you're
is just...
asking, it's at a minimum wage.
It's a temporary. It's a 1-month project.
Correct.
Okay. There's no chance that these people will be retained after this project is completed.
That's correct.
How many hours do you expect that they're going to be putting in?
In total,
Yes.
somewhere between 120 and 150.
And nobody will be working overtime, right?
Well, they wouldn't be eligible for it.
They're not eligible for overtime. Okay. One of the things that you mentioned at the special meeting is that there was going to be a wash of the towing fees or towing income. I received the October 31st financial report. It's in there.
Correct.
It's part of your budget. So it's not a wash.
Well, it is in the extent that the amount of money that we usually bring in exceeds what we have in our budget.
But the money that you have projected for the towing services is to help you balance your budget.
Correct.
So it's not a wash. You're incurring an additional expense for your department.
It's not
At the last meeting, I really believe, as it was mentioned, that these monies were available and they could take care of this expense.
Correct.
But after reviewing the October financial report, I see that it's already part of your budget, so it's going to be, the $20,000 is going to be an additional burden to your department. So the question is, how are you going to be able to offset that where you are already over your budget?
I'm sorry?
Well, you're not over your budget, but I'll get into that later.
Okay.
How are you going to be able to offset $20,000? Are you going to make changes? You don't think you will need to?
No. Historically, again, same thing. Historically, the account is in excess of the amount that we usually bring in. Every year.
No, I understand that,
exceeds.
Chief. I understand that part.
Okay. That we have budget.
That is correct. But this is a new expense. That money that you're referring to is already part of your budget. And I think I know where you're going to, but still, it's an additional burden to your department. It's not going to, hopefully it is a wash for you, but we'll see how that goes. I'm in favor of getting these people in place. I just didn't understand the $12 an hour and the thing about that it was not going to be a burden. It is.
Well, we're trying to be as prudent as we can. Okay. Last year we didn't have time in the same circumstances
to come to the council and renew or change the classification of the employee. So as a result of last year, we paid our temporary employees the same wage as we do the people who enforce the law, issue citations, and et cetera, just to direct traffic. So as a result, this year we wanted to make it more job specific and be able to address the pay with the type of work that they were doing.
Thank you. No more questions.
Thank you, Mr. Romero. And is there a motion or any further discussion on this item?
I make a motion to approve the new job for temporary part-time traffic control.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Hodge. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Item 10, request City Council approval of budget amendment resolution for hiring 6. Well, that's the same. Is that a different one?
No, sir.
The first was creating the job classification, and now this one is the funding
Okay.
source.
Request City Council approval of budget amendment resolution for hiring 6 temporary part-time traffic control assistants, position approved by City Council on December 1st, 2010. Is there a motion to
And
approve?
this situation obviously confirms that it is an impact on the budget.
Correct.
Thank you. So moved.
Moved. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Castro. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
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 Opposed? None. Motion carries. Item 11, approval of issuance of RFQ and RFP for the New River Improvement Project and hiring of necessary consultant. It is recommended that the City Council approve the following: approve contract with C. Young Associates for consulting services associated with the New River Improvement Project and authorize City Manager to execute a standard consultant agreement for same. And the authorization to proceed with the issuance of requests for qualifications, requests for proposals for architectural and engineering consulting services pertaining to Phase 1 of the New River Improvement Project. Mr. Carrillo.
Well, basically, over the last 2 years, the city council has taken several actions authorizing the city to enter into a variety of grant and funding agreements for the New River Improvement Project. It's a multi-phase program that is anticipated to be carried out over the next several years or until the environmental problems that are associated with the river are resolved. You had 2 funding sources. The first was Assembly Bill 1079, introduced by Manuel Perez, that encompasses the 66-mile reach of the New River from the international border to the Salton Sea, and that was for $800,000. And then with that, Calexico, the city of Calexico had been legislatively assigned a leadership and management role for Phase 1 of the NRIP. And then there was federal funding of $3.2 million that was engineered by Congressman Bob Philman to support the overall $4 million that's designated for environmental studies and further issues related to the environment on the New River cleanup.
Okay, thank you. I have someone that would like to, someone would like to speak in favor of this recommendation. That's Jose Carrillo.
Good evening, Jose Carrillo, 804G Anaya in Calexico, and as the chairman of the Calexico New River Committee and as a citizen of Calexico, I'd like to thank the City Council for the continued support of the Calexico New River Committee. And as you know, the Calexico New River Committee has been the first organized effort in Calexico to try to mitigate the New River problem. And for the last 10 years, we've worked really hard to try to solve the public health issues, the social injustice, and put a halt on the burdens of economic development that the New River is bringing to the city of Calexico. So as Mr. Carrillo mentioned, through the support of Congressman Filner, the $3.2 million, the $800,000 through the support of Assemblyman Perez, we have about $4 million to take the first steps in mitigating the New River issue. So I would like to once again ask for your support to move and approve the contract with Young and Associates, and also to proceed with the RFQ that will help us with the architectural engineering of Phase 1 of the New River Improvement Project. We're just steps away of making change, of making history. It's taken us, the Calexico New River Committee, 10 years to get to this point of getting $4 million. So once again, I'll ask for your support in carrying forward with this motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Carrillo. Mr. Estrada.
Yes, just to add to what Mr. Carrillo, Rico Carrillo, and Jose Carrillo add, this is in order just to continue with the New River Improvement Program. We request that you approve the contract with C. Young Associates, and also authorize to proceed with the RFQ that will, again, will be hiring a consultant to do the environmental studies and other studies of the New River.
Any questions for Mr. Estrada?
Comment.
I have the funding, again, the funding will come from the 3.2 and the 800,000. From the 3.2 is federal, the 800,000 is state. And Mr. Romero, again, you know, all grants are, we pay first and then we request for reimbursement. Okay, you pay first, then you request for reimbursement. Where is the paperwork in the requesting? The paperwork. I'm sorry? The paperwork for the request. To request, you have to file paperwork. Oh, yes. Well, as soon as this is. Okay, let me bring it another way. The timetable between paying and filing it, and that agency acknowledging that they received the package complete for their processing, how much time is going to go by between one and the other? I would say, first of all, that all grants, they require that first we pay the supplier of the services. The way we do it at the department, like with the airport, when we pay, we already have a reimbursement request. In fact, now with electronic, that we get reimbursed in a week. It goes directly back to the bank account, to the city's bank account. So you foresee that the city's going to get the monies back in about a week? On this one, I'm not sure. It shouldn't take that long. Okay, but it's not going to last months? Oh, no. In fact, with all the meetings with Caltrans and with people from the federal level, this is the first thing that we're requesting, that, you know, because of, you know, financial problems with the city, that we're requesting that reimbursement should be done, you know, as soon as possible. We would, by the time we send the check, at the same time we'll be sending the payment request, or reimbursement request. That's how we're going to be working it. I'm going to, same question I asked on a previous issue, business license issue. Oh, this gentleman already has a business license. Okay. And to answer like earlier, usually when we award the contracts, like the electrician company, one of the first things is that we do require business license, contractor's license, updated contractor's license, and all that. That's it would be good to have that kind of information already in the binder, so those questions won't surface. Okay. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Romero. Mr. Hodge.
I would like very much to urge my fellow councilmen to move forward on this. It's an honor to be on this committee, and I've learned so much in such a short amount of time. And this is a whole lot of money. This is a large responsibility that the city is taking on, and I'm happy that we are doing it. And what this conversation we just had indicates that we need to do it right, due diligence. And as far as I see it, my responsibility on that committee is to work closely with you, Mr. Estrada and Mr. Figueroa, to report back to my fellow councilmen, and to give you the good news that we've got all our ducks in order, and we're doing everything in our power to be in lockstep and having things done in the right way, because we don't want to blow it.
No.
We don't want to blow it. This is a lot of money, but it's such a vital issue on our health and our environment here in Calexico and the Valley. So I urge us, we have the responsibility now, so I urge us that we approve this and move forward with it and do it right.
Thank you, Mr. Hodge. And 13 presidential administrations from FDR to Obama, okay? I think we've had enough time. Is there a motion to approve?
I would figure Mr. Hodge would want a motion.
Yeah, I want a motion. I'm laughing at, I want to make a motion that we approve this.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Romero. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you very much, Mr. Hodge. Thank you very much, Mr. Estrada. And Mr. Jose Carrillo.
13.
FDR. Mr. Castro, it is time for you to make an appointment to the Business Improvement District.
Yes, I would like to appoint for Business Improvement District, Mr. Emmanuel Leon. Emmanuel Leon. He's the city manager of the...
City manager?
No, I'm sorry. He's the manager of the McDonald's restaurant.
Oh,
at
okay.
Imperial Avenue.
All right.
So,
Manuel Gonzalez, no?
No, it's, no.
No, it's Leon.
Okay.
A former student.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Castro. I don't see him in the audience, but congratulations out to him, and I'm sure he'll do fine, and he's Imperial Avenue representative.
Yeah, that's right.
Item number 13, which is the budget financial report for the month of October 2010.
I'd like to make a motion to move that item to the next Tuesday for a special meeting, also with item 18.
Is there specific questions, Mr. Castro, that you may want to go over with staff on those items?
Not yet. I have so many questions, but I don't have it with me, so that's the reason I like to move that item to a special meeting. And like I mentioned, there's another item that I need to move to that a special meeting for the next Tuesday.
Mr. Castro, you want...
I don't know about the other colleagues, but that's the way I think.
Mr. Castro, you want this item plus item 18 on the Utility Services Department budget?
Yes.
Okay, those two items
For a special meeting next Tuesday?
5:30?
Hold on, yes.
The November financial is all but complete, so I don't know if you want to consider putting those two together and discussing
Yes.
them, or...
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that will be on the next agenda for City
Sounds
Council.
good.
Well,
For next Tuesday, not, because the next...
And the next city council meeting,
Yeah.
which is the 24th.
No,
It has to
no.
be for a special meeting.
Special.
I asked for a special meeting.
Yeah.
The October.
Because special meeting. No. Oh, it wasn't bad. It was short.
So 5:30 Tuesday.
Well, the 14th would be a special meeting, and the 21st is a regular meeting.
Right.
No.
So,
Let,
no, that's the way it's scheduled.
no, I know, but
So Mr. Castro would like this item for October, next Tuesday.
correct.
Ms. Hashem is saying
Oh.
that the November will be available on the 21st.
Oh, oh.
Right. But if you want to use both October and November on the 21st, she can present it then.
Yeah, but
No.
the 21st is gonna be regular meeting, right?
Right.
Correct.
You know, I mean,
You want just a special meeting?
a
just for this
special
item?
meeting for either for 1 October or either October and November, or, and also,
And also the utilities services.
yes, utility services budget, yes.
Okay?
So you can have at least two items, October report
And
and
utility.
utility services.
The utility services
For
budget,
5:30
yes.
next Tuesday.
Well, I respect Councilman Castro's concerns. I have some concerns. I know it's,
And I would venture to address those concerns with staff prior to the meeting to make it run more smoothly, if at all possible. Not get bogged down in minutia, and ask those questions, email, if you will. And then
It's a-
whatever summary you can report, you can report.
it's
at
a
that
good,
time.
it's a good point, but sometimes the time factor is just not enough time.
Okay, well, that's fine, so.
But, who's going to make the motion?
Well, it's just direction, Mr. Castro.
Oh,
and
it's a
I'm-
direction.
And you're in favor?
I'm in favor.
Of moving into the December 14th meeting, 5:30, for those two items. Thank you. Item number 14, acknowledge investment reports for the months of September and October 2010. Accept the investment reports of September 30th and October 31st as presented. Moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Hodge. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 15, which is the Art Commission minutes for the special meeting on August 9th. Any questions? Acknowledge receipt? Okay, moving on to item 16. Acknowledge overtime reports for pay periods ending November 4th through November 18th, 2010. Any questions on that item?
Since we're going to have a special meeting regarding utilities and expenses, move that to that.
I agree.
So item number, the overtime report will be also moved to December 14. Item number 17. Authorized Director of Utilities, this is Enterprise Fund Departments, a consent item. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. We've already pulled item 18. Is that correct?
Yes.
We're going on to item 19 in business. Authorize city manager to sign an agreement with SOMAS for engineering consulting services for a new 6 million gallon water storage tank damaged by April 4th, 2010 earthquake. We'll have some background information from our presentation from Mr. Estrada. Is that correct?
Yes. In your backup, you got a color picture of the tank or the water plant. So you have how should I start this? Okay, this is regarding the earthquake damage tanks at the water plant. It has taken this long to bring it up to council. We've been waiting for some approvals from Calima and FEMA. What we're proposing is the initial assessment of damaged tanks was to repair the damaged tanks. SOMAS, the company that I'm requesting that we hire, prepare the plans and specs to repair the 1 million gallon tank, the 3 million gallon tank, and the 4 million gallon tank. After speaking with the FEMA, Calima, and JPIA, cost estimates building a new 6 million gallon tank and demolishing the 1 million and the 3 million was more cost effective to the city than replacing a cost less expensive than to repair the other two. In your backup, you can see the repair cost numbers from Calima and FEMA and Calima. The 1 million gallon tank, which was built in 1949 to repair, was estimated by them at 1.99, almost 2 million. The 3 million, and you can see on the right, the JPIA, the insurance, they're saying that to repair that same tank was $472,308. It's a big difference. The 3 million gallon tank, which was built in 1951, FEMA and Calima came out with the numbers to repair at $4,024,724. Our insurance said $795,000. Now, the 4 million gallon tank to repair, which was built in 2000, FEMA and Calima said to repair $1.523,577. Our insurance said $632,500. In your backup, you can find the numbers, signatures of the FEMA staff where they come up with these numbers. Now, what we're proposing, or we would like to get, is council authorization to hire an additional SOMAs to do the design of a 6 million gallon tank. They're charging us $52,000. And the reason they're charging the $52,000 is because we already have the plans for the 6 million gallon tank. That's the same tank that we built on the east side of the city. But what they're doing is they're putting it in the site that you have it here. On the site, you can see 6 million gallon tank. That's what we would like to build the new tank. Okay, and then we will be demoing the 1 million and the 3 million gallon tank. Complete. So in order to come up with good numbers, we're proposing that we go out to bid first to repair all 3 water storage tanks. So we get numbers from contractors, not from FEMA or the insurance. Next bid will be to repair the 4 million gallon and demo the 1 and the 3. And instead of building a 4 million gallon tank, it would be to build a 6 million gallon tank.
You still have
3 tanks.
You still have the $6 million. The 6 million gallon tank is not to replace the 3, but to replace just the 4 million gallon. To replace the 1 million gallon tank and the 3 million gallon tank. So
and the reason
and the 4 million,
we'll keep it. Like I said.
So now you'll go up to 10 million.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, and the reason that we're recommending is that the 1 million gallon tank was built in 1949.
Larger capacity.
And the 3 million was built in 1951. So we're requesting council authorization to hire SOMAS to do the design of the 6 million gallon tank. And the design is to set it up and build it at the site, at that site that you can see. We have over $1 million, I'm not sure exactly, 1.4, 1.5 from the insurance. They're willing to pay, for the repairs. So we have up to 2.5 engineers' estimates, $2.5 million to build a 6 million gallon tank. So with the money from the insurance, and if we can get money from FEMA, the balance, or the other balance will be from water funds, but that will come until all the bids come in, and this is where council can decide what to do or what to approve. But right now, what I'm requesting is that we authorize the city manager to sign an agreement with SOMAS for $52,000.
Are you projecting any other kind of consulting services for this project?
No, it might be soil testing, but those are minors, 10, 15,000. Soil testing, surveys. We want to make sure that, because the tank is going to be pretty close to the edge of the berm, we want to make sure that, the testing is right, to build that there.
Okay. So after this is reviewed by the consulting services, then you'll come back to the council with the bids?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
But once the engineer does the final design and specs, we'll go out to bid, as like I showed you how we bid it, and then we'll bring the bids to the council for review or approval.
I guess the only question I have, why it was in April? Why is it servicing right now? Why didn't it service before?
We've been waiting for letters from Calima and FEMA. We've been waiting for the approval to do this kind of a change.
So you have the approval?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? Is there a motion to approve this item on the agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Romero. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Hodge. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion
Thank you.
carries. Thank you.
Luis?
I believe we're going item.
Enterprise Fund information.
Item 20, information, acknowledge receipt of earthquake damage repairs progress report. Questions?
I have one, Mayor. In your report, you show funds coming in from FAA, FEMA, and Calima,
Yes.
and then some you have pending. I know what it means, but I just don't like the word pending. Is there going to be an agency that's going to help you recover the cost, or is this something that's going to be absorbed by the city?
You know, I didn't make copies of that report.
20.
I guess one's a 10 million gallon clarifier. Are you referring to that one first?
There's more than one.
Right. But that's on page one.
Oh, the funding is pending, the reimbursement.
But by whom?
By FAA. I didn't see the comments. Yeah, see, right now,
See, we have pending, but you don't say who is pending. So you're saying all the pending ones are from FAA?
no. I thought you were asking me a question.
No, this is from FAA. And this shows FEMA, Cali, and JPA, but you have several ones there, so you just say,
Okay, because,
yeah, clarifier, the mayor mentioned the one.
yeah, it's pending, again, it's pending on the insurance. The insurance was to finalize the whole project with the tank and the repair of the 10 million gallon.
And that insurance is JPA.
JPA.
So it's going to be borne either by insurance company
Insurance,
or the city.
no, or FEMA.
All of those.
Yeah.
But once I say FEMA,
Pending, yes.
all right. Thank you. That's the one thing I wanted to clarify.
Any other questions?
I'm sorry, can you restate that again? The ones that are pending, who's going to pay for it?
FEMA or the insurance.
Okay.
Out of all the damages on water, wastewater, the only department that's going to be funded, reimbursed is the water plant from the insurance. We didn't meet the threshold on wastewater.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Estrada. Going on to item, well, that looks like we're down to future agenda items, and I'll start over here to my immediate left with Mr. Hurtado. No? Merry Christmas.
No future agenda items at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Hurtado. Mr. Hodge?
Yes. In the last previous regular council meeting, unless I didn't make myself clear, I had made a request to have this particular issue on the item, but I see it was not. So I'd like to do it again. I would like to request that we put on the agenda, discuss and vote for a resolution, or whatever the action may be, to get back to the basics and follow the strong recommendation of a particular certified public accountant, CNL, shorten and abbreviate, and that is to write a formal accounting manual, which is a basic accounting manual on policies and procedures, and also, furthermore, to see that, based on the report I received here, a copy of it, that we, furthermore, to see that the city manager's response that was on a copy here to the recommendation is respected or completed, which was for the finance department to draft a formal accounting manual. Unless I can be convinced otherwise, I think that this is so basic and so important in moving forward and doing the right thing in the inner dynamics of our city and good governance. So I would like to put that on the agenda for next time, please.
Just one item?
That's it for today.
Thank you, Mr. Hodge. Yes, Ms. Hashem.
Not all agencies have an accounting manual. I'm not saying it's not necessary, but what I am saying is that an accounting manual is a very formal document. A lot of agencies hire consultants to write them for them. If that's the council's wishes, we can certainly do that. Some of them are as long as 60 pages. So I guess I'm going to need a little direction here. This is not something at this point in time. I've talked to our auditors already. In fact, they indicated to me that they probably shouldn't have put it in the audit report as an audit finding, but needless to say, I would love to write an accounting manual, but there are some extreme priorities that we have right now, especially with staff and the furloughs that we're experiencing. So I will need more time, or hire a consultant to do that.
Oh, I understand that.
Do you have any estimate how much it will cost?
You know, I don't. I can look into that.
Please.
Thank you, Ms. Ashram. Mr. Castro? Mr. Romero?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a, and this is directed to the HR Director Guerrero, who's not, I don't think she's here right now. There's language on the 1,000-hour, oh, there she is. There's language on the 1,000-hour fiscal year employee that permits somebody exceeding those 1,000 hours? No? That's not
Is
the
it happening?
recent communique I received.
Roslyn Guerrero, I need to explain. What happens is that we have a 1,000-hour employee who is employed only for 1,000 hours in a fiscal year. However, I believe it was either last year or before my time that there was a 1,000-hour employee that unfortunately went over the 1,000 hours. When that happens, the city then has to pay the city's share of retirement benefits, and the employee pays their share of retirement benefits. In order for my department, HR, to be able to designate the difference between a regular 1,000-hour employee and now a 1,000-hour employee that is being paid retirement benefits, we gave it that special term, just to identify the difference of a regular 1,000-hour employee and the difference between a 1,000-hour employee who is now receiving retirement benefits.
So somebody can exceed the 1,000 hours?
If the department head, yes, does not keep track of the hours, to get HR with finance department, we do notify department heads when they're reaching the 1,000 hours. We like to do it at the 600 hours, 800, and 900 hours.
Okay, but there's no language in there that the person cannot, that the person may not exceed 1,000 hours?
No, nothing
Okay,
that
I
says
would
it
like
cannot.
language to include that.
Yes, we can change it would be language that is included in the personnel rules and regulations. And that is something that does require meeting and conferring with the different bargaining units, but it can be done.
Why would it require bargaining units?
The rules and regulations is a document that is the city's policy, and because it refers to wages, hours, working conditions of employees, it's a document that we sit and we meet and confer on it.
I thought with part-time employees that there are no benefits paid.
No.
Temporary employees, there's no benefits paid.
Temporary employees do not get paid benefits.
Isn't a 1,000-hour employee a temporary employee?
Yes.
So why does it have to go through the bargaining units?
However, there is a section in the rules and reg that says any part-time employee that exceeds 1,000 hours per fiscal year, we do need to pay retirement benefits.
Okay. All right, that's on one, about limiting it to 1,000 hours. Also, where the council approves the hiring of someone, or someone's, or several, more than one, during one fiscal year, that it not carry over into the following fiscal year.
That's correct.
Well, it happened. I want language in there where when the fiscal year ends and the person that was approved by the council or by the city manager was not hired, and it carries over into a new fiscal year, that those requests be resubmitted to the city manager or to the council.
You want to reintroduce the next fiscal year?
It will be reintroduced for approval either to the city manager or to the council. Obviously to the council when it's under state of.
How's that for discussion, but there is some issues with that. Discussion when it comes up for discussion.
Now, also, when there is a state of fiscal emergency, there really shouldn't be any hirings unless there's approval by the council. And again, this was an issue, not only was somebody approved in 2009 and not brought in until July 2010, different fiscal years. There was also a situation when this person was hired while there was a state of emergency, fiscal emergency. And that should not have happened. Those are the three.
Is that a future council agenda item?
Yes, there's three issues, yes.
While you're on that topic, with regard to not hiring at this time of fiscal emergency, what about promotions?
Approval by the council.
What about promotions, and is that would also be something that we should discuss in that one item?
It could be.
Are you saying a hiring freeze or a
Well,
promotion
we're
freeze?
on a hiring freeze at this time, aren't we? So promotions and upgrades of category,
That would also be free frozen?
that's supposed to be frozen at this time, right? So,
Thank you very much. This meeting is adjourned.